Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to KDL. We've got our Tier 1 matchup on the way, a best of 3 between 5 and Q and MVP Phoenix. I'm joined for this match by none other than Nature's Prophet. No, I'm solo casting today, filling in for Eli Sanders. He did have some IRL obligations. Happy to do it, and I am feeling chipper, guys. It is a nice 3:30 a.m. here on the Pacific Coast, but I've had my coffee. We got to listen to a little bit of Meatloaf during the break, and oh, my windpipes are warmed up. This draft is underway. Let's go ahead and hop right into it. We've got 5 and Q versus MVP Phoenix. 5 and Q starting us off with bans on the Nyx Assassin and Marana. MVP Phoenix will ban out Tony Slark as well as the Enchantress. That opened up for a first pick Timber Saw by our dire side. Invoker Crystal Maiden grabbed by MVP. And there's that Visage that we were talking about over there on the side of 5 in Q. Now, again, guys, if you have any issues with the audio, as I mentioned, I will unmute our Dota 2. I do have the chat open, and today we don't have to use delay, which is a nice treat for me. Not something that happens too often. It's nice being able to interact with you guys a little bit during the breaks, during the cast. It's almost like I'm casting with all of you in Twitch chat. Oh, Jesus, wouldn't that be a scary precedent to set? Twitch casts Dota? Play on Twitch plays Pokemon or whatever that stupid stream is. Oh, boy. Lone Zyori, there it is. Oh, boy, oh, boy. So let's take a look here at this draft. What do we have on our hands? Timbersaw Visage, a pretty straightforward opener. Most likely their off-laner, though. He could do that solo safe lane. Timbersaw Visage, as we saw in that last game, well, he wasn't on the victors, but a support that truly needs no introduction. OD and Shen will be banned out by 5 in Q, and we see Lifestealer as well as Storm Spirit taken out by MVP Phoenix. Amazing to see how different the picks are in this series compared to the Tier 2 matchup we saw. That all-in pushing strat, it was interesting. Worked well in that matchup, but yeah, I think we're going to see something a little bit differently here. MVP Phoenix will go for the Wisp third pick to go with Crystal Maiden and Invoker. And oh, daddy, let me sign out of old Steam once again here. Production value, there we are. So Crystal Maiden and Wisp, very curious what they're going to pair with this EO. A lot of options, a couple of those classic heroes. You got your Tiny, you got your Ursa, you got your CK, all of them still in the pool. So we'll see where they want to go. They could go with something a little bit less conventional in terms of Wisp pairings, but they could grab themselves the Gyrocopter. Plenty of other heroes that Wisp can do some of that dirty work with. This draft was going very quickly, but 5 and Q will take their time here as they decide how to react to that very timely Wisp third pick. So it would seem that MVP Phoenix had that Wisp up their sleeve. They were thinking about it, and there was not a moment's hesitation. Puck will be the third choice for 5 and Q.
Radiant team
so a pretty obvious mid-hero there. They've got the Timbersaw off lane. Will need another support as well as a carry. And there's that Tiny, the classic Tiny Wisp combo. We'll see how it works with him. I like that combo paired with the Crystal Maiden. Not only does she do well in terms of adding some additional damage and crowd controls to set up for an easy stun from the Tiny, but also that aura, the mana aura is a pretty big deal. It helps some of those early regeneration issues that Tiny has, helps out with Wisp as well, and I like the array of supports they've picked up. The question is, how will 5 and Q deal with this?
5 seconds remaining.
And what do they want to grab here? Now, Tiny Wisp is definitely a scary duo, but as always with a Wisp, it does take a certain degree of finesse and individual skill set with the Wisp player. One of those heroes that can end up being a bit of a double-edged sword if you're not careful with your relocates, can end up costing you much more than you gain. But a hero that is notably difficult to shut down if you have the skills to pay the bills. 5 and Q, though, obviously a little bit thrown off by these picks. They will burn pretty much all of their bonus time trying to decide what they want to do with this fourth pick. And unfortunately, the way they drafted here, they don't have too many options. They need to grab a hard carry or support, and they will go for the hard carry. They grab themselves the Luna, and we see their team fight synergy starting to come to light. You've got Puck with all of that beautiful AoE magic damage he does as the cute little fairy dragon. Timbersaw, well, yeah, he does some AoE damage, that's for sure. Then you've got Luna in there. You've got Eclipse. You've got those bouncy glaives. That's what I call them, at least, your moon glaives. So a lot of team fight potential across these heroes. Visage, not a bad team fighter either.
Reserve
I
time.
think 5 and Q would be well advised to grab some sort of an aggressive support here that they can use to try and tango with this tiny wisp. I'm assuming it'll be a tri-lane that they'll run on the side of MVP Phoenix, but still a little bit hard to say. Wisp is not a hero that fares well in the tri-lane environment, at least in my humble opinion. He's one that needs experience, really needs to hit that level 6 quicker than most supports, and 3-way XP sharing usually is a ticket for having a bad time if you're on the team that has the Wisp. Now, they very well could do a tiny Wisp duo lane mid. That is something that we've seen a couple of times. It is, well, something that you can use to throw your opponent off. Then you can do a solo safe lane invoker perhaps, have a roaming Crystal Maiden, and then maybe even something like a Clockwork wouldn't be a bad choice for MVP Phoenix for their last choice. Nature's Prophet, my co-caster, going to get banned out here. Oh, poor guy. He just wanted to play. But a smart ban. He would have fit in well to the MVP Phoenix strategy. A little bit of rat Dota. Can't go wrong with some of that rat. Rat. And there's that Clockwork that I was talking about. A great choice. A great initiator. And, well, Clockwork pairs well anytime you have an Invoker on the field. If he ends up going Exort, you've got some Sunstrike action. Quaswex, of course, is the flavor of the month. But Exort's still an option if that's the avenue they want to go. And they've got the Rocket, the global presence from Wisp. Not too shabby. A nice little team you got going on here, MVP Phoenix. Again, guys, this is a best-of-3 series, so we've got plenty more Dota action coming your way. Thank you so much for joining us on Beyond the Summit. This is but Game 1 of this series. Final pick from 5 and Q will be the Shadow Demon. An interesting choice. Not the choice that I would have thought when I was thinking of aggressive supports they could go for. And, well, we'll see how it works out for him. I won't let my bias against Shadow Demon get in the way here, but I am not a big Shadow Demon fan. I will be perfectly frank. I don't know why you would pick a Shadow Demon over a Dazzle. In most cases, I'm a Dazzle fan as well. But we'll see how it works out for him. One good thing about the Shadow Demon is they have that disruption, which they can use defensively if someone gets caught by CM, caught by Tiny, and that follow-up will come. You do have that reset tool, which can throw a wrench in the mix when you have a Wisp-Tiny duo running around wreaking havoc on your team. So that is one good thing about the Disruptor, but I worry in the laning phase, his presence isn't really that powerful, and the aggressive disruption, they don't really have much set up for it. There's no Mirana arrow, they've got Visage on top of it, but basically 2 supports without hard stuns, hard disables. You've got the familiar stuns, the stone form. You've got disruption, sort of a disable, but the banish, you can't do damage through it. So it's nothing like one of those just classic black holes, roars, some sort of a stun on that front. So I worry about this tri-lane from 5 and Q a little. So we'll see how they fare. It looks like it will indeed be a tri-lane in the long lane here. Or I shouldn't say like. I get out of the habit of saying long lane. In the hard lane, Shadow Demon, Luna, as well as Visage. And Puck, played by KSH here, should be rotating towards the mid lane. Still very curious about how MVP will opt to lane this. At present, it looks like it will be Crystal Maiden headed down to the bottom lane. A solo safe lane Invoker, perhaps, if Crystal Maiden roams about. We've got Tiny gearing up for the mid at present. Up top, that is going to be Clockwork. And Wisp, well, he's camping out that top rune spawn at the moment, and I think he may rotate into the mid lane as well. So it very well may be that Tiny Wisp mid lane duo that is particularly potent. We will see a ward come down here on the high ground, give some vision to the rune, and a little bit of vision into the lane here. That nice little arc there. Another aggressive ward in the jungle for the side of MVP will make Clockwork's life a little bit easier. Perhaps they're simming it will be a safe lane, tri-lane, and well, that ward will definitely keep him safe. On the Dire side, they've got the creep spawn ward down, and they've got one here on the bottom rune, so pretty comparable ward coverage on both sides. Now, 5 and Q will read this duo mid lineup they've got going on, and they will adjust themselves. They're going to have Cynical on the Visage and QO playing on the Luna. They will be headed to the mid lane, so it is a duo on duo here in the mid. Up top, Timber Saw versus Clockwork, a relatively even matchup as well. Neither one should be able to secure a kill unless their opponent makes some sort of a silly misstep. Down bottom, that means it is sort of a duo lane for MVP. They've got Invoker joined by Crystal Maiden, though she will undoubtedly be spending a lot of time in the jungle. We see she's got a smoke, plenty of clarities, and Crystal Maiden does jungle quite well. We see that Frostbite leveled up, and she'll take out those Hellbear Smashers. On the Dire side down here in the bottom, it is a Shadow Demon Puck duo lane. Now, this is one that I would not have predicted, But given that it is a duo lane mid, 5&Q did have to make kind of a executive decision here. And there isn't a great spot for that solo Puck. I think if they leave Puck solo down bottom, no doubt about it, he will struggle to pick up that farm as Crystal Maiden moves into the lane. The way the Dire opted to put their wards down, very susceptible to those ganks if CM wants to come in, as they have no immediate coverage right here in this area. I think Shadow Demon could be well advised to rotate towards the mid lane, though Luna seems to be farming just fine without him, sitting 7-1 against the 6-0 Tiny in terms of last hits and denies.
Dire's structures are fortified.
It's not too bad here in the mid lane, reasonably even. A fortification used already. I was looking around sort of curious about that. I guess you want to keep all of your towers at 100%. Sort of an odd glyph there, but they probably won't need it anytime soon. So not the biggest deal, but still an interesting choice. Go ahead and burn the glyph here at the 2-minute mark. Tiny Wisp, a pretty strong duo lane in the mid. They will be able to grab the 2-minute rune. It is an invisibility spawning in the top position. Tiny will grab the bottle and fill it up. And the nice thing about this duo lane is Wisp will be able to get a fair bit of experience. So far, they are in good shape. The Dire actually don't have any coverage around that top rune spawn, so they don't know what's happening here. They don't know if it's an invis or what, but Tiny will walk into this sentry, and that will be the reveal. So 5&Q, they are ready for it. They've got this sentry down, kind of for good measure, looking for a lane ward perhaps, but it will come in handy as that 2-minute rune pops out. Possibly could have been the first blood for Tiny had that sentry not been down. Up top, looking at the CS ward, Timbersaw getting the better of Clockwork by a small margin, 16-0 versus the 11-1 Clockwork, but they're both getting experience, both less hitting reasonably well. Nothing too crazy. Pretty even across the boards here. We see 5&Q grabbing a little bit of the gold lead, but the experience graph pretty negligible at this point. Down bottom, Puck versus Invoker. That's where the disparity is coming in. It is Invoker who is on the bottom of that exchange. Puck doing very well, sitting 15-6 versus the now 9-0 Invoker. There was some damage exchanging mid. They almost secured that kill on Luna, and she will be forced back to the well as she is out of regeneration. Ring of Basilius and Boots of Speed in the inventory, but no regen left, and that is where MVP have an edge with this duo lane. Wisp Tiny have a little bit more sustain, and they have a bottle of their own, which has given them the sustain they need to take a small victory in this lane so far. Luna walking back to the well while Tiny continues to farm is definitely not ideal for 5&Q. Now, interestingly enough, Luna will port down to the bottom lane, and we'll see where they want to go from here. Shadow Demon in big trouble, though, as they will go for the Crystal Maiden, looking for a first blood, but Invoker's the one that secures it. Puck does grab the kill on Crystal Maiden, but it's a 1-for-1, not the exchange that they were looking for. Luna will find a small pick-me-up, but I would say that that was not worth it. Invoker was getting shut down pretty hard in this lane, and now with that first blood kill, well, he's made a recovery. He's now got his phase boots. That'll make last hitting much easier against this Puck, who is sitting on just Boots of Speed. Well, still a smart rotation from the Luna, though. I don't know that that was worth it. This is one of those, I wish we had the stats man to do some math for us, but that was an expensive gank. Luna was not the one that got the last hit. It was indeed Puck that secured the kill, so he got a little bit of assist gold, a little bit of experience, but missed out on all of that mid-farming time. Luna and Tiny, just about at the same experience, so I guess kind of a wash. Luna didn't waste too much time, but definitely a gamble to leave the lane like that and go for a ganking kill. Luna did grab tangos as well as now a magic stick to find a little bit more regen. Up top, we will see Timbersaw actually in a lot of trouble. He's stuck without mana, uses those wand charges, and the battery assault will be enough to secure the kill. A solo kill for the Clockwork that was an otherwise even lane. Well, now Clockwork is coming out the victor. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Tiny in some trouble.
Top tower is under attack.
And he will survive to tell the tale. We see a rotation here coming out from the Crystal Maiden. She is smoked up on the Dire side of the map and will rotate into the mid lane. And she's not going to get there fast enough to help too much, but they've already picked off the Luna before CM can join the fray. In comes the Crystal Nova, and they will make it a 2-0. Sunstrike comes in for good measure, but they don't even need it. They secure a 2-0 exchange in the mid lane. Meanwhile, down bottom, Invoker in big trouble. Puck pursuing hard. Shadow Demon nearby. 2 stacks of that Shadow Poison. 1 more auto attack will secure the kill. And Puck adds another one to the scoreboard. Now going to be 4-2 as we approach the 6-minute mark. MVP, though, still coming out the victors. Though now Puck really grabbing some momentum. This Invoker on kind of an up and down roller coaster. He was down, then grabbed the first blood. Will secure not quite a solo kill, but will pick him off in the fray. And that will push Puck ahead to the #1 on the net worth chart. Luna moves top, grabs that 6-minute rune. It is an illusion will deny the bottle fill, but they are going to pursue here. Uh-oh, Avalanche connects. This Luna's in big trouble. Wisp taking a lot of damage. Sunstrike off the mark. Toss is available, but they won't find it. Now Lucent Beam comes out. Timbersaw joins the fray. Timber Chain forward. And, oh, that is going to be a 2-for-0 exchange the other way. Both Tiny and Wisp take a spill. Pretty big overcommitment there. Nice reaction from the Timbersaw to pour it into that Tier 2 tower. But Tiny and Wisp getting way too bold. It would have been great if they could have secured the kill on Luna, but just not enough. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, I apologize, I did miss that kill on Puck. This is a lot of action heating up all of a sudden here.
Radiant's
The
top tower is under
MVP pull
attack.
back ahead into the lead. Let's take a glance at the goal graph here. Oh, yeah, it's all over the place. Kind of as we would expect, but still zeroed out. A very even game on our hands. If it goes late, hard to say who has the edge. Oh, my gosh. Luna going to get picked off as well. It's a massacre all over the place. But I was going to say, hard to say who has the true late-game advantage here. Luna versus Tiny, they're both really hard carries. There's a slightly better teamfight potential for 5 and Q, but this relatively back-and-forth game doesn't give huge edge to one side or the other here. So all right, we're going to focus a bit more. Not missing any more of these kills. Whew. So where are we at now? Tiny is now level 6, so that first level of grow is now inbound. Wisp sitting level 5, so very close to that dangerous relocate mark, and that's when this combo really starts to come online. Urn is now up on the Wisp, and what does Tiny have sitting in the inventory? He's got his power treads complete, so steps in the right direction. Invoker sitting level 7, looks like he is working on a Hand of Midas, obviously going that more classic Exort build, as we've seen a number of Sunstrikes. Eclipse used here as they go for that bottom rune, and it's enough to secure a solo kill on the Wisp and secure the haste rune now on the Luna. Sitting level 7, not enough mana for Lucent Beam. Crystal Maiden will pour it out and will make it. Puck almost able to do enough damage. If he hopped to the orb and used a Waning Rift, maybe would have been enough. But they will let the CM escape. Unfortunate for the Wisp, a bad time to fall, as he still needs that experience to hit level 6. Tiny left all alone in the mid lane. Luna now starting to pick up some momentum. A big kill coming out for her. Honestly, the mid laners are the more underfarmed aspects of this game. It's all about these off laners. Puck, Invoker, Timbersaw, and Clockwork all topping the net worth charts right now and doing well in their respective lanes. I like the choice for Invoker to grab a Hand of Midas here. This back and forth game means it's probably not going to end anytime soon. Neither side has a particularly potent pushing strat. So, well, reason to believe that this game will go on for a reasonable amount of time, and that Hand of Midas will really kick in. Invoker already doing well in the level chart. He is all tied up for the lead, sitting level 8. And, well, that Hand of Midas will help out quite a bit. Clockwork perhaps in a little bit of trouble. A Chakram does connect as he uses the cogs. And Crystal Maiden throws him a defensive Frostbite, and he will be able to walk away. And down bottom, perhaps Invoker could be in a little bit of trouble here. He has a very defensive positioning, as he should, but not a lot of room down here, as they will dive him if he shows himself. Well, perhaps. Puck does have everything available, sitting level 7 right now. They could definitely jump on him. Shadow Demon, level 5. With primary points in that Shadow Poison, and they can start to add up to do a fair bit. A port will come in from Clockwork. He is level 8, looking for a hook shot, and they might be able to set something up down here. We see Invoker getting very aggressive. Sunstrike actually does connect with the Shadow Demon. Unfortunately for Clockwork, though, unable to find the hook shot opener he was looking for. Tiny Wisp did actually smoke up, rotating in to try and set up a kill. Again, they don't make it happen. But here at the 10-minute mark, it will be that invisibility rune this time. Tiny Wisp will secure it. They force the puck back. He orbs to the high ground and actually will get stuck in the trees here until he has another orb cooldown. A little bit unfortunate. Oh, Clockwork will capitalize. He throws out the scouting flare, connects with a hook shot, and now this puck is in big trouble. Will illusory orb and phase shift out. The Avalanche actually off the mark, but it doesn't matter. Puck does fall, even burns the Dream Coral cooldown. There is no Eclipse available, but they have enough damage to secure the Tiny kill. Relocate comes out from the Wisp, and they see it. They know he's coming back. The Familiar is on the high ground, and Wisp is going to be in big trouble here. Poor guy. Oh, look at this. He tethers down to the Invoker. Will they be able to secure a kill onto the Luna? No, but Wisp is surviving for now, but not for long. Visage comes in with that last nuke and finishes him off to secure the kill. Wow. A noble effort from that Wisp. Thought he was dead for sure. Invoker came in, gave him a sign of life, but alas, they did secure that kill. Tiny, unfortunately, he has not had too many lucky breaks here. He is 1, 2, and 1, taking a few extra spills than he would have liked. Wisp sitting 1, 3, and 2. The Luna, conversely, is 1, 2, and 5, so, well, died the same amount as Tiny, but involved in a lot more kills, 4 more assists than what Tiny has on the board. Though, well, what unit is Tiny? Mountain Giant? That's what he is. He's a big old mountain giant. Working towards that Ag Scepter, presumably, and does have that Staff of Wizardry sitting in the bank. And will, of course, up that mana pool a little bit. Luna up top is sitting level 8, does have that Eclipse available, so this Clockwork needs to be a little bit careful. Luna could set up a solo kill, I believe, if creeps are not nearby, and lands a couple of those beams, but Crystal Maiden is inbound, and actually CM is level 7. Supports on the Radiant side doing pretty well, though. So are the supports on 5 and Q. A little bit more of a disparity, but yeah, both sides doing well. Luna in big trouble, though. That's an easy kill. A relocate coming in as well. This Timbersaw not able to clear quite yet. He will turn into a lot of damage. Oh, the explosion of damage. Wisp falls, and all 3 heroes left up top still very low on hit points. The Crystal Maiden falls as well. Support comes in. I don't know that they'll be able to grab the Clockwork or the Tiny, but what a turnaround from 5 in Q right there. It looked like a free kill on the Luna, but they do at least make it a 2 for 1 and pick up kills on the supports. 2 for 1 is good. Supports for the hard carry, kind of a break-even exchange, but perhaps MVP just underestimated the amount of damage Timbersaw can put out. We see a pause request, and yep, there it is. We will find the pause now. That Timbersaw, ladies and gentlemen, boy, is he dirty. He's up to that dirty business. You know, that was sort of a too easy for Arteezy moment right there. That, all right, we got a kill, and in comes Timbersaw, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, Timbersaw does a lot of damage. Maybe we shouldn't have done that. And Timbersaw is actually a good hero to deal with Tiny. Timbersaw was the first pick in this game from 5 and Q, and they picked the Tiny carry into Timber, but it's all about that Whirling Death. The stat percent loss works well against any kind of a strength carry. Of course, Tiny is a strength carry, and that's why Timbersaw fares well. All that pure damage. I like Timbersaw as a hero right now. We've seen him fall off as kind of a prominent pick in our current meta, our current competitive scene, but boy, is he scary. Having quite the impact here in this match. So Invoker now has his Midas online. He's had plenty of time to farm up, and now about another 1,000 gold in the bank. Probably looking for a positioning tool next. That Force Staff, wouldn't be too surprised if that was his next item of choice. But as always with Invoker, it's not just about the gold farm with the Midas. It's about the experience farm. Every single level counts, and he will find some additional experience here. He is the singleton Hand of Midas carrier this game. And looking at core items, not too many out on the field. We see Timbersaw working towards what will be a Bloodstone. He's got himself that point booster already to go with those Arcane Boots. Wisp, well, sitting on Bottle. Urn still hasn't made too much item progression since we last checked. And Tiny still working towards that Ag Scepter. Now has the Ogre Club to go with that Staff of Wizardry. Just waiting on those last 2 pieces. Clockwork, buddy, you are in some big trouble. He's going to get ganked up top, and they secure the kill. Clockwork takes the spill. And I was just about to check on what items are you going for, Mr. Clockwork. He's got himself the Power Treads and a Bracer. Not much else to his name. Those opening core items, the bottle, as well as the Magic Stick, and about 1,000 in the bank. So we'll see where he goes from here. Could be gearing up for some drums. He's going to go ahead and just grab his Magic Wand. A pretty standard opener, but very curious what that first core item will be. Blade Mail, always a good choice, as is a mech, if they don't have someone else that can get a mech reasonably fast here. And they actually don't have another great mech carrier. CM won't have it anytime soon. So again, I think Clockwork grabbing a mech would be a pretty solid choice here, as MVP will need one. No mech inbound for the Dire side either. We see Visage over here going for a fast medallion, perhaps opening up potential for a Roche attempt if 5 and Q grab a little bit of map control, but that will slow down a potential mech timing here. Neither side too interested in the mechanism. An item that I'm a big fan of. Big mech fan here. Good item, good item. At both sides, just going back to more passive farming. Like I said in the drafting stage, just one of these matches where there isn't really a clear edge to a team if this goes late. Luna's a hard carry, but so is Tiny. Both of them can get out of control, and it's more about a positioning game than one team having that kind of timer strat where they have to do crippling damage. by some certain juncture before the carries take over. I suppose Luna is a little bit harder of a carry if we're talking about like full theory crafted 6-slotted team built around it, but the Midas does throw a wrench in the mix where MVP will feel okay just sitting back farming, as they well should, because that Hand of Midas will kind of give them a slow edge over time. Invoker, still the leader in hero levels, sitting level 11 right now. Looks like an engage could break out up top. Wisp Tiny doing some dirty work around the tower, but they will just head back to safety. Fort Staff now up on the Invoker. And Tiny, well, not too far off the Ags, just about 1,000 gold or so to go until he grabs that giant branch and starts cleaving around. In terms of item progression, though, Puck has been the big breadwinner. Now level 9 does have a Blink Dagger in tow. Always a big choice on the Fairy Dragon. And a benchmark no less. Gives him that mobility, some more initiation power. Tiny Wisp in the mid. They need to be a little careful, perhaps. We see Cynical, perhaps looking for a rotation. And the tower pushing up in the top lane, tower pushing down in the bottom lane. Both sides seem pretty comfortable exchanging tier 1 for tier 1 towers. As Luna ports to the mid to join Puck, they were going to stop any pressure coming from the EO Tiny combo in the mid lane. It does end up being a tier 1 for tier 1 exchange in the respective hard lanes on both sides of the map. Low profile towers have been taken down, and both sides will be comfortable to get a little bit of extra gold on the field. We see some pings coming out as a fresh ward has been put down by the Dire side, and they will group up into the mid lane here. Good ward coverage if this is where they want to push, and they will start chipping away at this tier 1 tower. The question is, do MVP want to make a hold? We see a ping coming out from the Invoker. He ports into the tier 2 tower. They've got no glyph available, and that will be a free tower kill. Total tower count is now 2-1 in favor of 5 and Q, though make that 2-2 as their top tier 1 falls. Meanwhile, back in the mid lane, we see a hook shot in, and Clockwork does a bit of damage and then is forced to retreat as he takes some damage in return. That's where it stops. Even exchanging across the boards. MVP have a small gold lead now, about 1,000 gold or so. Experience graph is negligible, all zeroed out.
Here I am.
Only 2 tier 1 towers remaining. There Puck is. Hello. Oh, hello, friend. Oh, there's the Ag Scepter up on Tiny. That's a benchmark. Look, he's got that big old tree. He's got a walking stick. Hey there, Gandalf. How are you? Uh-oh, 5 and Q, they will defend this tier 1 tower mid. Clockwork, no hook shot available. Will Force Staff back to safety. Eclipse comes out from the Luna, does a fair bit of damage, finishes off the Crystal Maiden, but it costs him a Shadow Demon. His Tiny Wisp coming the backside. Whoa, Visage and Luna will fall. It's going to be a 1 for 3. The Crystal Maiden in exchange for 3 heroes of 5 and Q. Puck and Timbersaw, the only 2 left alive. There's a hook shot, and Timbersaw's in big trouble. Make it a 4 for 1. The tier 1 tower falls in the fray, and now will this be a 5 for 1 exchange? Indeed it will. The Crystal feeding for all 5 members of 5 and Q. The tier 1 tower in the mid lane falls. The tier 2 tower will fall shortly after. All of a sudden, MVP with that burst of momentum. Look at that gold graph. That's going straight up and down. Not too often you see those vertical lines, but oh boy, what a surge of momentum. Great plays from that Tiny Wisp combo, and they're going to get themselves a little 100 gold bounty there as well. Unfortunately for 5 and Q, the Eclipse from Luna, not quite spot on. Only level 1 right now as Luna is sitting level 9, so it wasn't the ideal time to use it. Well, not an ideal situation to rely on the Eclipse for a lot of damage. It is only a couple of beams. It wasn't enough to secure the Crystal Maiden, but Tiny Wisp just came around the backside, did all that AoE damage. Tiny was cleaving all over the place. Oh man, what a time to grab that Ag's Scepter. Now this experience graph, looking a little bit scary. Look at these vertical lines. All of a sudden, an even game, and then whoa, 10,000 gold lead, about a 6,000 experience lead. I mean, just look at the level chart. We see Tiny now topping things, and Invoker nipping at his heels. Definitely great news for MVP. And what is the follow-up? Tiny, oh, he's going to grab a little bit of lifesteal here. Interesting choice. Morbid Mask after the Ag's Scepter. Is that going to be a Mask of Madness, or is he just... Okay, he's just going to go Helmet Dominator. The smart choice, but also the boring choice. Early Mask of Madness, that would have been exciting. That would have been titillating, but not going to see it here. Force Staff complete on Clockwork. Also 1 up on the Invoker, as we've already mentioned. Drums of Endurance coming out on the Clockwork as well. And Tiny with a Blade of Alacrity. An interesting choice. Crystal Maiden with an Ogre Club appears to be working towards a BKB of her own. Now on the Dire side of the map, things not too bad. Whoa, Invoker with a Necronomicon. Interesting choice. They will grab a little bit more pushing power here. Get some more summons on the field. An interesting choice. Now on the dire side, 5 and Q. It's looking
Dire's
a little bit
top
darker
tower
than
is
it
under
was perhaps a
attack.
few minutes ago, but still plenty of
Radiant's bottom
sunlight on the
tower
field.
is
They've
under
got themselves a
attack.
soul booster sitting on the Timber Saws. He did break those arcane boots. We mentioned Puck's Blink Dagger, and Luna, well,
Radiant
looks like he's
structures are
working towards
fortified.
a Helm of
Radiant's
Dominator
bottom
here.
tower is under attack.
But yeah, this Luna is actually rather underfarmed right now. Looking at net worth, she
Radiant's
started
bottom
out kind of
tower has
even with the
fallen.
Tiny, but all of a sudden
Dire's
she's just
structures
taken a
are
nosedive.
fortified.
They do grab the tier 1 tower in the bottom lane, but it's not going to come for free. They do use their
Dire's
glyph,
top
and it
tower
just
is under
delays the
attack.
inevitable as Invoker and Crystal Maiden are able to finish off the tier 2 tower in the top lane. So given that 5 and Q are behind, they have a reasonable exchange here, but still good news for MVP as there is only one tier 2 tower remaining once this one falls. Timbersaw does pour it in, throws out the Chakram, but I just don't think it will be enough. At the very least, this will be a deny. The Forged Spirits come in. Invoker
Dire's
secures the
top
last hit.
tower
Well
has
played,
fallen.
Forged Spirits. Well played. But yeah, this Luna, unfortunately, she just sort of fell off. And this is part of the problem when you have that duo lane. They forced 5 and Q to kind of change up their strategy, and it didn't work well for the Luna. Now she's under-leveled, sitting only 10, really towards the bottom of the pack, actually getting about on point with all of the supports right now, which is never a good sign. Her CS, where are we sitting? 60 last hits compared to the 140 of Tiny. Well, that's why she's underfarmed, folks. And now going for this rather greedy build. Oh, the hook shot just off the mark. That would have been an easy kill on this underfarmed Luna while we were talking about it. But, well, you miss 100% of hook shots you don't throw. It was a noble effort, unfortunately, just off the mark right there. But a rather greedy build coming out from Luna as well, going Helm of the Dominator first. Certainly not a bad choice, but look at this. MVP with the right idea. They've blocked the Ancient, so 5 and Q will not be able to stack them up and use that Helm of the Dominator to the fullest of its extent, stacking the Ancients. That is one way Luna could find recovery here, but MVP, man, they're on top of it. They've blocked the Ancient spawn, and that's not going to be easy farming. So Moonrider here, well, she'll do what she can. Poor Huntress. Still in big trouble. Tiny more than doubling the Luna right now. And that is scary, as for Tiny, it's not about the Battle Fury, but getting that fast Ags, that ups his farming ability. Now he's got a Yasha as well as that Helm of the Dominator. He is farming pretty quick. There's nothing slowing him down, and again, the Midas advantage is the way of MVP. Let me turn up my Dota sounds here. There we go. Oh, there we go. Now I can hear the pings. Mechanism now up on the Wisp. So that is a mech advantage. No mech even started for 5 and Q. Looks like the Visage is just going straight for that Ag Scepter following the Medallion of Courage. And I would label that as a misplay. Not necessarily the item trajectory of Visage, but their team just not getting the mech. We see a lot of teams, some teams just don't value mech as much as others. And in a match like this, there are 24 kills in 23 minutes. That means there's been a fair bit of team fighting, and the team with the mech will have an advantage. No doubt about it. But we'll hold that thought as the hookshot does connect on Luna as she's trying to farm up. Luna will get dropped like she's hot. And actually, Wisp will be the first to fall. They turn it around as Clockwork goes down. Tiny as well. The defensive disruption. Wow, it gives them the reset they need, and Luna survives, throws out a big Eclipse, and they turn it around. Wow, I thought she was going to fall despite the defensive disruption right there. Thought they'd be able to finish her off straight away, but the burst damage from 5 and Q, what should have been an easy kill on the Luna, ends up being a complete and utter disaster,
Dire's bottom tower is
and
under
MVP
attack.
will pay for it. Puts a dent in the gold lead as well as the experience lead, but most importantly, it will open up a potential Roshan attempt here. They move straight into the pit. Sunstrike will actually connect with the Visage. Luckily, they do have a medallion, which will make this Roshan attempt much easier, though I think MVP can still contest. They just don't have the damage to drop this Roche very quickly. We see the Forged Spirits coming in. They will scout it out. We can take a look at the vision of our Radiant side, and they get a handle on how quickly Roche is falling. They've done the math. They've pulled out those calculators, and they know they can contest. There's a hook shot available. Clockwork will be able to get in range in time, and this Roshan is not going to happen. 5 and Q actually have a lot of low health heroes here, and this Roshan could backfire quite a bit. If MVP could pick up a couple of kills here, perhaps they themselves could take the Roshan. Hook shot comes, connects with one of the familiars. Very unfortunate for the Clockwork. A noble effort, but well done by the Visage to position those familiars appropriately. Still, a great exchange for 5 and Q leading up to that Roshan engage. A large hill that they have to climb still. Double damage rune on Tiny as they have been stacking the Ancients here. That's another map disparity. A nice triple stack will go the way of this stone giant here as he beats him with a tree. Unfortunate for 5 and Q, though. They just don't have the damage to take out that Roche. If they weren't so far behind, if this Luna was hitting a little bit harder, that would have been a free Roche. They probably could have made something happen out of it. We see them continuing to check the Ancients here. Perhaps investing in a Sentry would be well worth it. This ward will finally fall, but the damage has been done. It slowed down the farm that Luna can grab by quite a bit. Oh no, the Timber Chain actually off the mark. Double damage, Tiny, but they can't capitalize on the Timber Saw misplay. If only he had a Blink Dagger, that would have made that a little bit easier, especially with the double damage rune on. But this Tiny is just starting to get out of control. He's starting to take off now. He's got the Manta Style complete to go with that Helm of Dom and the Ag Scepter and another 1100 in the bank. He's still doubling the farm of Luna, and that is scary, my friends. Radiant side do have vision up here. We see this ward. The pings come out as our Dire side move into the Roshan pit once again. Sunstrike scouts it out. Having that Invoker as well as a Clockwork, it makes it so hard to sneak a Roshan. They have so many abilities they can use to scout out the Roche pit, and we see Tiny Wisp just pressuring the top tier 3 tower. They actually force out the glyph just from a toss while they see 5 and Q stuck inside the Roche pit. Not stuck, but grouped about the Roche pit. 5 and Q will use a smoke. And Invoker, whoa, buddy, you need to be a little bit careful. Luna does have an Eclipse ready. Timbersaw hops forward and will take a Frostbite to the face. In comes Forev. He uses a hook shot, and as well as a Sunstrike is on the mark. Shadow Demon falls as Tiny Wisp come in. Down goes the Luna. Timbersaw gets picked off as well. The Visage, it's a 4-0. Puck the lone survivor. What an exchange from MVP. Once again, they take a good initiation, then the the Wisp Tiny come in from behind, and they do the dirty all over. 5 in Q. Another great team fight for MVP, living up to their names as they take out the last outer tower from the Dire side. They will rotate into the Roche pit, and I think this will be an easy Roshan. He's still sitting right around half hit points. Compliments of 5 in Q, and they've still got quite a few dead. The burst damage. Luna desperately needs a BKB here in this game, but she is just far off the mark. Going that Helm of the Dominator first is working against her a little bit. A very greedy build now with just the Ogre Club. She probably won't have that BKB before it matters. The Roshan goes the way of MVP. Tiny, the one to grab himself an Aegis of the Immortal. That means you're going to have to kill this Rock Giant twice. That's double the Craggy you're going to have to cut for, and that's double the bad time. That's double the moguls, man. Nobody likes dealing with Craggy exterior. That shit is broken. It's so good. So good. 3.5k gold in the bank of the Tiny as well. I don't know what item he wants next, but he will have his eye on the prize and have that luxury of just right-clicking pretty much anything he wants from that secret shop. We'll see where he wants to go from here. They've got their sights set on the Puck up top, but Puck has a blink, the elusive fairy dragon. Will survive. Boop-a-doop-boop-boop-boop-boo. Let's see here. Clockwork now has the point booster in tow, working on an Ag Scepter of his own. And let's take a gander at the gold graph. Just about 15,000 lead of our Radiant side, and about a 12,000 experience lead as well. Yeah, that net worth chart still continuing to look scary. Tiny now more than doubling the Luna. Now that the Ancients are available, 5 and Q will have a small opportunity for recovery, but that Observer Ward that was down here, it lasted the full duration. That's 6 Ancient stacks that it blocks, and, well, that whole time MVP was stacking their Ancients. Their Tiny has already cleared it a couple of times, and that is one of the reasons we see such a disparity between this Tiny and the Luna, but also these successful team fights, well, they're not hurting too much either. Luna 2, 5, and 7 versus the 4, 3, and 6 Tiny. Yeah, I think even a 5th grader can do the crunch the numbers on that one and see who's coming out ahead. Radiant structures are fortified, and I'm not sure why. No one is pushing any of these structures, but that's okay. We're gonna throw them a bone. They'll just pop the glyph for good measure. Doing it in style. I like it. Mackie like it. Tiny still pulling up that gold, another 5,000 in the bank. Io with a regeneration rune. It's going to give Tiny that mana pool he needs. Look at that nice guy. BKB now up on the Crystal Maiden and the Ag Scepter up on Clockwork. So these core items are coming out. The item progression for MVP vastly exceeding the progression on 5 and Q. Invoker working towards the Sheep Stick as well. Now has the Ultimate Orb and 1.7k in the bank. So still actually not that far off the Sheep Stick. On the Dire side, Ag Scepter is up on Visage. They've got another familiar flying about the field. That is certainly good news. Puck also working towards a Sheep Stick with that Ultimate Orb in tow. Actually, right around the same mark that Invoker is on that front. The big breadwinner seems to be this Timbersaw. He is the highest farmer on the side of 5 and Q. He's got his Bloodstone complete. Now he's got some BOTs up, and well, it's that casual plate mail for now. Probably looking to turn it into a Shiva's, and well, not a bad choice. The question is, will it be enough? Tiny, well, now we know what he was pulling up his gold for. He finishes up that Satanic. So we'll grab a little bit of extra damage, a little bit of extra strength. And, well, now he's got that lifesteal. The Unholy Rage, as they call it. Oh, boy, this Tiny is a meat stick. He is huge, both literally and figuratively. He's got a double damage rune in the bottle as well, as LD likes to call it, the Rune of Many Wins. And that is a scary rune to have on a Tiny at this point in a game. We'll see MVP try and force a fight here, and holy Toledo. The Clockwork secures a solo kill on the Luna. That should not have happened. I wasn't even ready for it. There's just no way that should have happened. Now this is going to be bad for 5 and Q. Luna is forced to pop the buyback straight away. Glyph not available. 4 seconds out, but the double damage rune already doing the damage. Clockwork secures another kill on Shadow Demon, and the engage ready to start. In comes the Eclipse from Luna, but the BKB is up on Crystal Maiden. She's in the front lines. Luna just gets dropped like she's hot. There's nothing she can do. It's a buyback. A dieback, ladies and gentlemen. That's the word I was going for. Visage tries to do some nuke damage here, but it's not enough. Timbersaw falls. The GG Wellplayeds come out as MVP just steamroll their way through the base. The Rune of Many Wins lives up to its name as Tiny with the double damage, increasing that branch, and oh boy, is he hitting like a Mack truck. He's cruising down the freeway. The brake lines have been cut. You just best get the hell out of the way, because there's no stopping that boulder once he starts rolling down the hill. A great showing from Team MVP, 21-15 here after 31 minutes of gameplay, but they find the better of them. Superior farm on the Tiny versus the Luna. Very well done. Titillating game, Nature's Prophet. What was your thought? Not enough Rat Dota. Yeah, that's what I thought too, buddy. But hey, an exciting game. Always fun to see the Tiny Wisp pairing. I think a lot of it goes into that ancient stacking. When Luna was so far behind, if they were able to stack those ancients and she could get a huge kill there, maybe if they had been able to secure the Roshan, things could have turned a little bit, but 5 and Q unfortunately just fell too far behind too quickly, and Luna got overtaken by the Tiny. Now this is a best of 3 series, ladies and gentlemen, so we will have at least one more game coming up after a short break here. MVP versus 5 and Q, our tier 1 match here for the KDL, will continue. I am Zyori filling in for I was going to say Xander, Lysander tonight, live from the Beyond the Summit studio. Thank you for joining us, folks. Don't go anywhere. More Dota 2 action coming your way.